Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Lewis's vlog. And this is kind of going to be one of these weeks where we may not see his numbers really increase after this. He's decided, and we've talked about it, he's bulked quite a bit. He's gone from being a hard gainer to he's been bulking, but he's gained a little more fat than he's comfortable with in the long term. And we're at a point to where if he gains any more body fat bulking, what's going to happen? He's concerned with overall health and all of those things. So we're doing a cut for a bit. He's going to lose a little body fat, get down to a level where he is comfortable again, where we're back at a point of optimized health, right? This also improves things like insulin sensitivity, a lot of other stuff. And then we will bulk back up again, right? And we'll repeat this process. And this is something I talk about a lot. I've done a lot of videos over the years on this of generally this is going to be the fastest way to make progress. A lot of people are like, well, can't I just make these lean gains or whatever? And it's like, there's nothing stopping you from doing it, but it's going to take a lot longer. And you're going to have to deal with really long plateaus. In other words, sometimes a person could just do a bulk and cut and make progress over 6 months, right? Whereas they may stall for that entire 6 months and not see the same progress if they try to do it the other way. And I'm not saying there aren't some ways around that, but I would say for many people, their lifestyles and nutrition and everything else are not going to be optimized enough to really benefit from trying to do that sort of thing. So again, I want to be clear there, and I don't want to say it's not possible. I don't want to say that it's not the right strategy for some people. Okay? It's certainly not for most people. Not if they really want to make goals and do it in a realistic manner and with a realistic lifestyle that isn't always perfect and optimized. You probably are going to be better off bulking and cutting, to some extent. But it doesn't mean that, we need to do a big sloppy bulk. In his case, though, we've bulked for a long time. Okay, bulk for a long time. We need to trim down just a little. And again, he needs it for his own self-esteem, his own confidence, things like that. So we're cutting a little. I'm also letting him add some bicep work in. He's a young guy, going to college, he's in school, right? He's like, oh, I want to cut a little. I want a little bit more bicep work. I feel like my arms are small. I'm like, okay, we can do that. I always remind him, though, it's something funny that comes up, is that young guys are really obsessed with their arms. And I've told him that. I'm like, always keep that in mind. The majority of really young guys have this bizarre arm obsession, and they also have an imbalanced view of what big arms are. In other words, and again, not to jump into bodybuilding because I'm a strength coach, and I have coached a few bodybuilders here and there, to get them bigger and stronger. Not necessarily their contest prep. That would be a different coach would handle that. But they have this idea that if they don't have arms that are 4 inches too big for the rest of their body, that they have small arms. And it's like, well, no, you need more size overall, right? You shouldn't have 18-inch arms if you weigh 175 pounds. Okay, that's not proportioned. Maybe if you have no legs, but definitely if you do, then the upper body, the rest of it's too small to match that. That's not realistic for most people. So they have this idea that even if they weigh 40 pounds less than Arnold Schwarzenegger did, that if they don't have arms his size, that their arms are small. Right? And understand the majority of people are never going to have the genetics to have that disproportionate of arms. That particular individual, of course, had phenomenal genetics for biceps. Look at how big his biceps were as a teenager. The guy had great bicep genetics. He's one of the people who could pull that off and be disproportionate that way. Most people are not. Again, particularly a long-armed lifter. This lifter has longer arms, right? Lewis has longer arms. So just a context there. But overall, our structure is staying the same. We're reducing training volume a little bit. We're taking a little bit of the extra supplemental workout. And the question becomes why? Well, we don't want to get overuse. We don't want to not be able to recover from the cutting. Again, a point I frequently make. volume often needs to be reduced when cutting. If your volume is optimized when you're bulking, in other words, it's perfect. You have great recovery, still maximizing hypertrophy, maximizing training response within your recoverable volume. It's well up above your minimum. Okay. Anything that's remotely close to your maximum recoverable volume when you're bulking, you will not be able to sustain it in a calorie deficit. You will not. It has to be way below your recovery threshold. Again, if we're talking about drug-free lifters, I want to make that point clear. All the guys you see, that's a dead giveaway right there. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, people will always ask me things like, well, unless they look amazing, which again means they've been using drugs for 5 years, doesn't mean they just started. It's a long-term thing at that point. Unless they look amazing, well, how do I tell? What if they're not just a monster who's on huge amounts? Okay, that's a dead giveaway. The guy who trains with pretty high volume when bulking, who increases the volume while cutting and doesn't overtrain. That's a dead giveaway right there. There you go. That's a good indicator that they're using some sort of pharmaceutical agent that is significantly improving recovery, right? And even helping retain muscle tissue while cutting. That's a pretty good sign, because most people's recovery goes down significantly when they go from a bulk to a cut. If they can increase their volume, the question is, what did they add to what they were already taking? They've usually increased something to pull that off. So that's something to think about here. But otherwise, we are still running a very basic conjugate template for him. We're still doing max effort upper, max effort lower, dynamic effort upper, and then a dynamic effort lower day each week. We are, again, paying closer attention to his volume. We're going to keep it a little more moderated, keep the total exercises just a hair lower to make sure that he can recover from all of this. So I'm going to let the footage finish out here, and I think that sums up the vlog for this time. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.